Good afternoon, Cross Timbers, and welcome to the Texan News Scoop, Texan TV News Week in Review news show. Here, we'll look at the week's top stories on campus, the region, and beyond. My name is Bethany Kyle, and it's November 7th, 2014. Here are this week's top stories. In campus news, the story broke this morning that the ongoing investigation of Rusty Juergens has ended. Since early September, the Vice President of Student Life has been under investigation by the Texas A&M University system. Little information about the investigation has been released as it was ongoing, but today a statement was released from the Office of the President stating that the investigation has been completed and findings from it have been reported to President DeTavio. The statement said that based on findings from this investigation, a leadership change was in order, and now Rusty Juergens is no longer affiliated with Tarleton State University and no longer serving as Vice President of Student Life. Darla Doty, Assistant Vice President for Student Life, who has been covering the role in his stead, will continue as interim Vice President. No further information about the details of the investigation have been released at this time. Texan News Service will continue to release information about the story as it becomes available to us. Also on campus, 2 crime alerts have been emailed out to the entire student body this week. The first was the report of a sexual assault occurring in Honeywell Annex in the early morning of November 1st. The person accused of the assault was said to be a friend of the victim. This is another of several sexual assaults that have taken place in residence halls this semester. On Monday on Texan TV News, Tarleton University Police Chief Matt Welch and Lieutenant Al Alcon came to the studio to talk about the incident and sexual assault on campus with Alejandra Aragin.
Hello, I'm here today with Lieutenant Al Alcon and Chief Matt Welch to talk about a sexual assault that occurred on Sunday around 1:30 a.m. And I have a couple of questions to ask you about that. For starters, how were you all informed about the sexual assault?
Actually, we received a call from the control center that a third party had contacted them and asked us to meet the reporting party at the police station concerning an assault.
Okay. And what was your immediate course of action after you heard about the assault?
The patrol officer, Officer Temez, responded to the station and met the reporting party. She was able to, when the young lady got out of the car, she saw that she was crying, and she asked her if she was there to report an assault or a sexual assault. She said that she was there to report a sexual assault. So Officer Temez immediately contacted Detective Bent, and they basically started to follow the sexual assault protocol for Erath County, and Detective Bent returned to work and began to talk with the reporting party, and then just went from there.
Okay. Now, what measures do you think Stephenville or the campus should take in order to protect themselves from sexual assaults?
Well, if this were a stranger on stranger sexual assault, I'd be giving you a whole bunch of things, don't do this, don't do that, things, be aware of your surroundings. And if you go to a bar, make sure that when you're drinking or something like that, never leave your drink unattended, all those kinds of things. What we're finding, though, in the sexual assaults that we are hearing about or that reporting is that they're not stranger on stranger. Most of the assaults are acquaintance assaults. So, I think we've got to rethink some things, and sort of our culture and everything that we're doing, the actions that we do, to where we're not saying, this is for the victim or this is the accused. But we really need to start looking at what is consent, what's not consent. We need to start looking at issues of if alcohol is involved, how much alcohol is involved, whether you got a buddy system, whether, and set some guidelines amongst the acquaintances as to what, what is allowed and what's not allowed, what you want to participate in, what you don't want to participate in. So I think there's a lot of things there in our culture right now, in a changing culture, that we're really having to learn how to deal with. So I don't know how to tell you how to protect yourself in that. We can tell you some warning signs, some things, and that's very difficult when it's a acquaintance on acquaintance.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you would like to tell the Tarleton community about this situation?
Well, I think this situation particularly did involve alcohol. Again, what we're seeing is that that a lot of the cases that are being brought to our attention, whether they're being reported to us or we're just hearing about, involve excessive alcohol usage. So I would say that the community really needs to look at when you're in a situation, whether it be male on male or same gender or male female, just things that we, maybe start out as a normal dating relationship, that we pay particular attention to how much alcohol is being consumed, and maybe do some things with friends, to talk about what kind of actions they want to take, and if you see me doing this, please intercede. The things that the counseling center is doing a lot of things now with bystander intervention training, trying to get people to look at some of that. So there again, I think we've got a whole different way to look at things than what we have in the past about what sexual assault is. And it's not stranger on stranger for most of the cases that we're having being brought to us.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The second alert came on Tuesday regarding several reports of burglaries within residential facilities this month, 1 report in Traditions Hall and 3 in Bender. The target of the burglaries has mostly been electronics and cash. Also affecting Tarleton this week has been the passing of longtime history professor and department head for social sciences, Dr. Christopher E. Guthrie. He passed on Monday evening at the age of 65, according to a release from Tarleton. Recently, Dr. Guthrie had the opportunity to be the inaugural speaker for the last lecture series, where he spoke to more than 600 former and current students about the Roman Empire and offered advice to them. On Tuesday, TNS reporter Tasha King talked with Tarleton professor and friend of Guthrie, Dr. Richard Cruz, about Guthrie's life in and out of Tarleton.
Hi, we're sitting here with Dr. Cruz to talk about the beloved Tarleton professor, Dr. Guthrie, who passed last night. Dr. Cruz, could you tell us about your personal relationship with Dr. Guthrie?
I met Chris Guthrie 30 years ago. We became friends when I was still finishing my doctoral degree at North Texas, and he was instrumental actually in my hiring in the late 1980s. So we've been friends for about 30 years.
It's a long time. What do you think Dr. Guthrie's lasting impact will be on Tarleton?
Well, in my opinion, I can put this in some perspective because I was a Tarleton student, and I remember Dr. Grant and Dr. Dick Smith and the legends of Tarleton at that time, Dr. Bill Martin, and I've been of the opinion for the last couple of years when I think about it that Dr. Guthrie will be one of those legends of Tarleton. That is, he'll be on that Mount Rushmore of great professors that we've had at this school.
Right, I'm sure he will. Could you tell us something about Dr. Guthrie's personal life and the impact he had outside of the university?
Well, Dr. Guthrie, he loved his children and his grandchildren. He was just a great guy, very affable, and had a tremendous sense of humor, and was very quick-witted. So whether at a family gathering or around Christmas or at a Super Bowl party or a friendly game of poker, he was always the liveliest one. He was a live wire.
What do you think it meant for him to give the last lecture at Tarleton?
I think it meant a lot to him. I was a little worried about it because he had been in pretty bad shape during that period. But I think it meant a lot to him. While he seemed a little tired that night and of course was sick, I think that it meant a great deal to him that his personality, his good humor and his wit, I think came through very well in that last lecture, in spite of the fact that he was a bit enfeebled.
All right, well, thank you so much, Dr. Cruz, for coming in and talking to us. It means a lot to us.
Well, you're very welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Funerals services for Dr. Guthrie will be held Saturday, November 15th at 2 p.m. in the Clyde H. Wells Fine Arts Auditorium here on the Tarleton campus. In regional news, Election Day was Tuesday, and approximately 36% of Erath County came out to the polls. 7,466 of the possible 20,480 voted. Like the trend across Texas and the United States with the election, Republican red took precedence. Erath County voters voted overwhelmingly Republican, with Republican candidate Greg Abbott receiving 81% of the vote for governor, and next runner-up Democrat Wendy Davis with only 18%. Other Republicans with wins in Erath County are John Cornyn for state senator, Mike Conaway for District 11 representative, Roger Williams for District 25 representative. The full report of results can be found on the Erath County website. TNS reporters were also out at the courthouse interviewing voters as they went in and out of the polls. To look back at that live blog and hear the thoughts of Erath County voters, go to texannews.net. Overall, in Texas for midterm elections, the results are similar to what we saw in Erath County. According to the Associated Press, Greg Abbott took the governor's race with 59% of the vote. John Cornyn took 62% of the vote for U.S. Senate, and Republicans took the House seats in the majority of the 36 Texas districts. Looking at the entire United States, Republicans took the lead in the races. Of the states that voted in the election this year, in Senate, red took 52 spots to blue 43. The House takes 244 Republicans and 181 Democrats, and 31 states chose a Republican governor, with 17 choosing a Democratic representative for them. With elections being the main buzz this week, Texas also has news with the current governor, Rick Perry. Perry went to court this week for a pretrial hearing where he stated that he maintained his innocence on the felony abuse of power charges he faces currently.
As governor, I took an oath to faithfully uphold the Constitution of Texas, a pledge that I have kept every day on behalf of the Texans that I've worked for the last 14 years. That same Constitution clearly outlines the authority of any governor to veto items at his or her discretion. I stand behind that veto, and I would make that veto again. The special prosecutor's actions in this legal process are not valid due to multiple failures to comply with constitutional and statutory requirements.
This allegation of a conspiracy is the biggest red herring I've ever seen. It's ridiculous. You have a district clerk's office here in Travis County who's trying to make it easier for Governor Perry and his army of lawyers to find documents, and they make it seem like it's a conspiracy. It's ridiculous. It's malarkey, just what I said in court.
And now we will go to the Associated Press for a brief look at the most recent top stories nationally and internationally.
This is AP News Minute. A retired Navy SEAL who told the Washington Post he killed Osama bin Laden spoke Thursday in eastern Tennessee, but Robert O'Neill made no mention of the bin Laden report. Prosecutors in New Zealand have dropped the murder-for-hire charge against AC/DC's Phil Rudd. They said there's not enough evidence to charge the drummer with trying to hire a hitman to kill two people. A pair of pilots were killed when their National Guard Apache helicopter crashed in Boise, Idaho. The cause of the crash is under investigation. And 6,000 people took part in a military parade in Moscow marking a World War II anniversary. The event honors Russian troops who fought against Germany back in 1941. Matt Small, The Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
This has been a production of the Texan News Scoop, a product of the Texan News Service from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas. Tune in to Northland Cable, Channel 9 on weekdays at 12:30 for Texan TV News, as well as all of our other programming. You can follow the Texan News Service on Facebook and Twitter, and check out our website at www.texannews.net for all of your latest local, state, national, and international news, as well as all of your entertainment and sports updates and the live stream of Texan TV News. Tune in again next Friday for next week's top stories in review. Today's broadcast was produced by Jordan Palmer and Alejandra Arguin. I am Bethany Kyle. Have a wonderful weekend, Tarleton Texans.